Welcome everyone to another mod spotlight, and today we're gonna have a look at the Project Red mod by Mr. TJP and Chicken Bones. This mod is a continuation of RedPower 2 by LRM, which currently isn't maintained anymore and got stuck in Minecraft 1.4.7. But the guys managed to implement a lot of RedPower's most appreciated features into the current Minecraft version. Let's first have a look at the world generation. Project Red comes with 3 types of gems and 2 types of world blocks. You can mine ruby, sapphire and peridot ore and use them to forge your standard tools. There are also more advanced tools, which I'm gonna explain in a bit. A tool you might not be familiar with is the sickle. It can be used to harvest large areas of grass and leaves, making it that easy to get rid of them quickly. Additionally, you may use the gems to craft them into building blocks as well as wall structures similar to the vanilla cobblestone walls. You will also occasionally stumble upon marble deposits, which you can craft into brick blocks and, similar to the gems, into walls. Finally, there's the basalt. Basalt spawns with a volcano, which has a small chance on generating above a lava source. Mining it will yield basalt cobblestone, which you can smelt back into the smooth version and then, just like with the marble, into bricks and walls. Finally, we also have a bunch of trees in the world generation. There's a tree for every freaking color in the game that comes with its own saplings and leaves. The saplings may be used as a replacement for recipes that require dyes and generally can be used in the same way as normal vanilla dyes. Now how cool is that? Let's move on to the illumination. Project Red comes with 5 different types of light sources that come in both normal and inverted states. Now, normal lamps will light up when powered with a redstone signal, where inverted lamps are on by default and will only switch off when powered. You will find yourself able to craft either block-shaped lamps, lantern-shaped ones, button lamps, cage lamps, and fixture lamps. Remember that you can place those lamps on floors, walls, as well as ceilings. Of course, you will also find micro blocks to go along with piping, and finally you can cut those into nooks, corners and notches. These types of blocks will open up a whole new world of building and shaping possibilities. It's time for Power B without its redstone logic and cabling. Now that's exactly why you will find. Note that standard alloy wire will power the block it is placed on, while the insulated versions will only power what they are directly connected to. Or strip in between 2 alloy wires to force them to form separate signal lines. But there's yet another magical cable called the bundled cable, which can be used to bring differently colored signals together into one cable through another insulated wire. Another freaking line shown before, but contrary to being dependent on a block, it can be placed freely in the air. This makes me want to change my YouTube account into Redstone Dream. But we are not done yet. There is the integration module. To have full control over those gates, you want to make yourself a screwdriver, right? First up, we have the OR gate. It has 3 inputs and 1 output. Any of the 3 inputs may be activated to enable the output. While 1 input is active, other inputs have no influence anymore. The NOR gate's output is by default active and will deactivate with either input. So it's the same thing as the OR gate, but the output is inverted. The NOT gate is a simple inverter. It has 1 input and 3 outputs. While the input is activated, the outputs aren't, and vice versa. The AND gate's output will only be active if all inputs are as well. The number of inputs can be adjusted using the screwdriver. The NAND gate works the exact same way, but with an inverted output. To deactivate the signal, all inputs have to be powered. The XOR gate has 2 inputs and 1 output. Either input may activate the output with the condition that it's the only input active. As soon as both inputs are active, the output will depower. The XNOR gate again works the same way, but with an inverted output. Next up, the buffer gate works in a similar way as a repeater in the sense that it only allows power to run into a certain direction. It has one input and 3 outputs and will add 1 tick of delay to your redstone signals. The pulse former will output a short pulse no matter how long the signal is. This is especially handy if you want a very short signal, and it is essential for many complex redstone contraptions. Now everyone knows repeaters. The version of the repeater that comes along with this mod exceeds a vanilla repeater with the ability to place it on walls and ceilings, as well as far higher delay settings available by shift clicking with your screwdriver. We also have a comparator that works just like your vanilla comparator, where the modes can be switched with your screwdriver as well. Advantages over its vanilla counterpart is obviously that it can be placed however you please. The randomizer can be activated with a redstone signal and will output signals in random intervals into 3 directions. This is especially useful if you want some random, unpredictable signals. The RS latch has 2 outputs and 2 inputs. An RS latch will remember the last signal it received and remain in that state. It can only be switched by powering the other input. A toggle latch also comes with 2 in and 2 outputs. This gate is especially useful if you want to use a short signal such as a button to permanently switch a signal until you press the button again. With each signal, the latch will change its state, where the signal contrary to the RS latch may come from the very same input. Next up, we have the light sensor, which will output a redstone signal during the day into one direction. Now, similar to the light sensor, we have the rain sensor. It will obviously output a signal when it detects rain. Gotta love that sensor for creative worlds. So everyone familiar with Red Power knows the timer. It has 3 output sides and will, in an adjustable interval, send out a redstone pulse. It can be deactivated with redstone from its input side. The sequencer will, in a set interval, output signals into all 4 directions, one after another. I will leave up to you in what situations this might be useful. The counter has 2 inputs, the plus and the minus side, as well as 2 outputs. Within its GUI you can adjust the maximum count, the increments as well as the decrements, which obviously relate to the plus and the minus inputs. This device can be used in many complex contraptions and will output a signal into one direction at its default stage, no signals while it's counting, and finally a signal into the other direction while the count is at its maximum. Very useful. Next up, the state cell has 1 input, which when activated will output a signal to the left by default, and after a set amount of time yet another signal towards the front. This is especially useful if you want to create 2 separate signals while only inputting once. The synchronizer memorizes signals that come from the left or the right side, no matter how long they are, and output a short pulse once both the left and the right side have been activated. It can be reset with the default input if needed. Lastly, we have a few special cells that will make your redstone life a whole lot easier. The null cell will make you able to cross 2 different signals on the same block without having them interfere with each other. Mighty useful. The invert cell will make sure that the crossing signals will influence each other by inverting them. The buffer cell's lower wire will activate the above wire, but not vice versa. And finally, the AND cell will only power the lower wire's output if both of them are activated. These cells are incredible when it comes to building calculators and such, let me tell ya. Holy cow guys, I think this has been almost everything there's to know about the Project Red mod in its current stage. It's so easy to install and I experienced no compatibility issues whatsoever, even though I currently have 93 mods installed. It requires Forge as well as Chicken Core, and then you're good to install. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the spotlight. Don't forget to leave some form of feedback. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye bye.